Good morning, hello, happy Tuesday. Let's see. Yesterday, I ended a little bit early to go look for another microphone. I did find a microphone, and it was an okay one. It was one of those digital recorders that could be a microphone. It's actually pretty decent. Unfortunately, appears that it's been a while since I've used it, and the batteries were all doing the white leaking stuff inside of them. So, not necessarily a good choice for us to go with. So, we'll be just using the Windows system to record like previous. Silby, come on over here. No need to just wander out and cry. He came down here, he followed me in, and then he just wants me to follow him around the house, I guess. Instead of him following me. But that's not happening this morning, or any morning. You should know that. Anyway, so that's that. I may or may not end the stream a little bit early today. There's some I don't have to go to work in the morning, but there's some like all hand meetings and everything else, so there's might need to go prepare for that. Depends. I'm not exactly sure. I have my phone with me, so if there's any messages or anything else that comes up, I will be able to see them. Let me double check right now and make sure nobody sent me a message. Okay, we're good. I'll just leave that up there. And so with that all being said and done, today's plan is to continue working on the setting VSCode video up. And then I have a sort of article we can work on. And then after that, we have a logging with tracing article to write. And so then that's going to be, I'm going to have to figure out like what I want to do with this time for streaming. It doesn't necessarily feel easy to write articles while I'm on stream here. So I might do things like write the articles, figure that out off stream. Maybe I won't be streaming every day in the morning, and instead just sort of figuring things out. So with that being said, let's figure out, let's set up for this video. So first off, everyone out of the pool. Mastavr. Hello, good morning. Is this course going to be free? So not really. There's a free tier of sorts, which is watching these videos as I create the videos part of it, and then sort of like being able to go online to GitHub and be able to see sort of like the assessments and yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's not really like a full access to everything, but the rest of it is no, it's not going to be free. That being said, I'm always happy to go into like answer any questions or anything else if you have any. And I have a previous course on YouTube that is free. It's for Axum 0.15, so a previous version. But I do have a upgrade video for upgrading those, like, the project I did as part of that course to 0.16, which is the current version. Let's see. So this article is going to go through setting up VS Code for Rust. So we're gonna basically do a really quick follow for this one. Where actually I don't need to really follow this one, do I? This one is gonna do a basically install Rust Analyzer, or rather it's gonna install the extensions that we need. So let me add those in. Okay, so extensions, not home. Okay, so we have toml creates ThunderClient. Come on, how do I get you to go away? There you go. Rust Analyzer, CodeLDB. Let's see. I mean, some of this is just teaching how VS Code works with like shortcuts. Oh, they actually put in here how to use Clippy for this. So set the check command to Clippy, which Clippy gets installed by default now with Rust. So I don't think you even have to do anything. I guess you just have to set this. Yeah, and Rust formatting runs automatically, debugging, CodeLDB. Scott B, hello, good morning. I got a haircut 2 weeks ago? 2 or 3 weeks ago. But it wasn't just like the other day. But yeah, I have had a haircut. Good morning. How are you doing today? Okay, so this is also going to be setting up debug for running. That's going to be fine. Oh yeah, and then the Xcode tools, which I think I already have. But okay, I think it like tells you what to do if you run into that. So let's see. So we'll do video. And this will be for me. So we want to, can I do like a to-do? Checkbox, yeah. Togglebat had a pretty good stream today considering the loss to the Rust dev community. Oh no, what happened? Did something happen? I wasn't following news like last night, so I hadn't heard of anything happening yesterday. is it related to the Surde? Nova died. Wait, Nova died in a claiming accident 2 days. Oh no, that's horrible. That really sucks. I was mentally preparing for like, oh yeah, somebody got ousted due to some other drama that's been going on, but a death is actually, that just really sucks. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know Nova, but it doesn't matter. It's like, that death is like one of those things where it's like, ah, man, nobody deserves that. Well, I don't really know how to like necessarily like respond properly to that besides like, man, that sucks. She seemed like she was pretty incredible. I mean, a lot of the people in the Rust community, especially like the older Rust community, are really incredible. I'll look into Nova a little bit later too, because I don't really think I followed Nova very much. I'm sure I'm doing a lot of stuff. Good morning, Stacking. How are you doing today? Let's be honest, the drama is warranted, and we kind of need to keep up the drama for a shitty stunt to force the RFCs. Yeah, yes. I think we've had a bad, we as in like the Rust community at large, have had a bad track record of being able to have drama without it resulting in somebody being forced out of the community. I think what we really need to practice on is how to have drama without it resulting in basically somebody leaving, because then nothing really like improves long term. Like, yeah, we'll get what we want, but that person is gone now. We're not gonna benefit from that, and somebody else is gonna replace them that hasn't learned that lesson because they weren't part of the community. So I want for us to be able to have that drama without it becoming like an exit thing, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm not very eloquent today. All right, video checklist. I want to, let's see, we already have a fresh VS Code set up and ready for us. So I guess like the first thing is make sure Rust is updated. Our company philosophy: the best employees are the ones that make a major mistake because they never make that mistake twice. Yeah, there's a there's sort of like a folk tale. I've never actually heard of like where this really came from, so I think it's more of those stories that like a consultant made up. But basically the idea is that somebody makes this huge mistake. It costs the company hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more, maybe less, doesn't really matter. Goes to the boss and he's like, boss, I'm sorry, I'll prep my things. And the boss is like, what are you talking about? You're not fired. Like, what, I made this mistake. I cost the company like so much money. It's like, yeah, but are you going to make that mistake again? Like, no. He's like, well, I'm not going to pay for somebody else to make that mistake and have to learn that lesson again. You're never going to make that mistake. I consider this a X dollar training session. Now just make sure you don't actually do it again, and we're good. And I think that's something that I actually see people like not have that attitude. Like, how many times have you been out at a restaurant or something and you hear like breaking glass of somebody dropping something or some accident happening, and then you hear, well, they're fired, somebody's getting fired. It's like, that's such a horrible attitude to have. You've had it twice where we went out to eat and the waitress got fired in front of us? I've never had that. I've just had people like chat about that. I've never actually seen the firing take place. That is horrible. That would make me not want to go back to that restaurant ever again, because that means that everybody is going to be acting out of fear at that restaurant, which, I mean, most likely they are anyways. But now I know for certain that they are. And people who are in fear, if there's like a problem or a mistake with the food, they're going to hide it rather than actually fix it, because they're more afraid of being caught for a mistake than they are of actually like following through with a mistake. And that's like literally the opposite of what you want, at least as a customer. Are you reading this right? Am I going over to the dark side of Microsoft? Say it ain't so. No, I am not going over to the dark side of Microsoft permanently, but I am aware that if I am doing a course, most people that are paying for this aren't going to be interested in like being forced to use Helix or Vim or something like that. They're going to be using VS Code, the most popular of the editors out there. So I should meet them where they are and like at least teach using VS Code. Yeah, I haven't been back, and it's literally in walking distance from us. Yeah, it's one of those things where I used to believe that the managers would like, oh man, I'm getting a lot less people coming in after these events that I've been having. I should change. I've learned now that that's not what happens. So what's going to go through their head is, man, all of these employees are really acting bad. I need to be harsher on them. I'm not being harsh enough. I'm not going far enough. And it's causing people to not, it's causing customers to avoid this. And then just never realizing that it's back to this. It's like such a problem. And it's like it's really hard to solve that. It requires change management and managing up to do so. And it's something that I've learned over the years how to do. It's not easy, and it's not it's taxing. It's like really emotionally draining to do too. Scott, you're so against Microsoft. You've never used Word. You've never used Word? Wow, that is dedication. You used WordPerfect. WordPerfect isn't bad at all. WordPerfect is pretty good. Do any of you remember WordStar? I used to use that. WordStar was pretty good. I didn't have WordPerfect. WordStar, I think, was cheaper. So that's what I had. I had whatever like the cheapest option was. And then my parents had bought what was it? It was the IBM Lotus suite. So I used Lotus Writer or whatever it was called, which was their version of like Office. They had all of the different tools, which were basically just like there are some parts that were infinitely better than a Microsoft suite, and some parts that were absolutely terrible. And it was very interesting. Yours came on your system. Oh, nice. When somebody is giving you money, always go for the lowest common denominator. It's not how we always think, though, which is sad. You'll give your wife credit. She went back after dinner and talked to the boss and apparently called out his bullshit and supposedly got the woman her job back. The boss did feel bad and gave her free drinks for the rest of the night, but she doesn't drink. Oh, Lotus and Coral merged. I thought for they just like killed their product. Because I remember using that, and then just slowly it got more frustrating as it just got like worse and worse over time, until eventually it's like, okay, well, we don't have a choice. We have to use something that's like gonna work. At least do what we really want it to do. And so that meant Google. Google? No, Microsoft. You need to make a Helix beginner's guide and set up for Rust? I want to. That is on the list. That will be a free course, definitely. Anything where it's gonna be a, hey, this is an awesome technology. You should learn this. That's probably gonna be a free little one-off course or article, which I can use as I can just throw up on the site, or I can create like a blog or something. I don't know. I'll have to do that though. For this though, I'm gonna use VS Code. Talking with like some other mentors and everything else, I could probably convince them to use something else. Then I have to help debug that when they run into trouble. So I'd rather not. But eventually, someday, maybe. You just set up your 13-year-old Mac Mini on Alpine Linux. You'd love to set up Helix for speed. Yeah, that should work. And those, oh man, Mac Mini. I have a soft spot for Mac Minis because they are so good at being surprisingly good at like old like server like stuff. Just like setting it up as like a little mini server somewhere. And because they were so, cheap, being a relative word here, you basically got like that hardware from Apple. And if you like that kind of hardware, then you're going to like the Mac Mini type thing without any of like the extra cost of other stuff, which was really nice. You've heard rumors that Howard Stern is so addicted to Lotus that he pays an insane amount of money for it to still be maintained. That so I didn't know about that one, but I do know that there's some like Microsoft has. Okay, so there's an article. So I don't actually know this from any Microsoft people. So it's rumor time that I may or may not be forwarding on. But I don't know, but maybe not the right word. So what I understand is that Microsoft and several other companies have like these ancient versions of like Internet Explorer and some other tools that they have declared dead, and they're not maintaining for, but they do maintain for specific clients who pay them an insane amount of money per computer that it's being used on to maintain it and like just keep it working. Like I don't even think that means like security updates. I think that just means working, and only for them. It's not like any of these patches make their way to like the public domain. It's just for them. I mean, at this point, could it be that hard to just purchase Lotus and then make his own dev shop that just works on it, and then he can sell it? I'm sure that there's some people that would buy Lotus, especially if it's being maintained for somebody who's actually using it. Okay. Create new project. I want to. So Rust is updated, install extensions, create a new project, set up Clippy. I guess it would be like test Rust analyzer, set up Clippy, set up formatting on save. Let's see. Is there anything else that I would want here? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, set formatting on save. Set up code debugging. And then test using breakpoints. Okay. That's it. So if I put that over to the side like that. No, I don't want. Wow, that little bar over to the left really sucks. I'm not really sure the best way to make it go away once it pops up, too. Okay, I need to make you smaller. Okay, now I've got my checklist over there to the right. Oh, hey, Sylvie. Hi. Wanna? No? He walked out of sight to go over there. He was really thinking about jumping up onto the platform. Okay. So, let's do this. I want to close you. Guess I'll quit you too. Keep you up. I have VS Code. Okay, so we can. Well, I guess if I launch VS Code, is this in a new profile we set up? It is. Okay, so everything is ignored now. Oh, but it opens up in this previous window that I have. Can I tell it when I open up VS Code that doesn't open in a project? Is that something I can do? I have no idea where there would be in here. In 2011, Lotus was finally killed by IBM, and the guy who was the maintainer of Lotus was let go. I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, that person probably had a lot of extremely specific skills for Lotus, and if they weren't keeping up their dev skills for everything else, then that's not going to help the company. Which is a lesson for all of us: is don't accidentally make it that way you're only able to do one thing. Because if the company decides to not do that one thing, you are no longer providing any value. And if you don't provide any value, that is not good for your job. All right, I don't know how to set that. So this will just be fine. It'll just open up in there. Okay, so I'll just start with that off. We'll turn on VS Code and install the extensions. Then create a new project and do that stuff. Okay. Olivia, hello. How are you doing today? I do have... Ooh, should I not show the terminal like this? Because this might be confusing too. I could quit out of Zellige and just show like a terminal like this. That might work. Or I can go really old school and just do terminal or X11 maybe. You're doing good? Awesome. I'm doing pretty good. We're about to start recording videos for a course that I'm creating. It's gonna be a paid course, so I feel like I need to maybe not just like force people to use whatever tools I like to use. But I'm okay. Like, yeah, with this one, maybe I think this is fine. I'll stick with this. VS Code is one thing. This is another. And then I still might actually do all my examples in Helix, but I do want to show VS Code off for people who want to use that. Stacking, you can be a one-trick pony and make $200,000 plus, but that one trick better be a broad set where it can span to other projects. Or at least, like, your company is like so invested in this technology that there's just no way that they can possibly stop using it. That being said, we've all seen companies that there are no way they could stop doing something, figure out ways to stop doing something when it becomes too expensive. They figure things out. I use Zellige in your stream, and yeah, I might want to use just Bash and VS Code. Yeah. Well, I don't know if a Bash. ZSH is default in Apple now. Although I have no idea what operating systems people are going to have. That's going to be one of the things I'm going to ask and find out. But I don't think there's any difference in ZSH to Bash for the commands that we're going to be doing. I think it's all pretty much the same. All right. Well, maybe I can just use Alacrity because it is a shell and they may not notice. If you work for IBM or Oracle, don't believe the hype. As we all know, they will kill anything. I mean, or Google, or, many other things. I had made the mistake of purchasing several domains from Google because, like, many years ago, because I thought, like, okay, I'm not going to ever have to worry about domain management with Google. Like, they're certainly not going to release that, right? That's fun. Most of them are uniform because the aliases are the same along with the other. Yeah, exactly. Now I do have Oh My ZSH installed, but again, I don't think that's really that big of a deal. I used to have students install ZSH and Oh My ZSH in the classroom. A lot of them were like not programmers to begin with. So we were starting from scratch for a lot of them. They had never used the terminal before, and we figured that was a nice sort of going with. The only negative about ZSH that I don't like from an instructor's point of view is that you can type the name of a directory and it will CD into it, which is really, really bad habits. I used to every time that I saw a student doing that, I basically told them, no, don't do that. Like, you can't do that. And if I saw them do that while like giving like inside of a video where they were like turning in a project or something, I would make them redo it. Because it's just such a bad habit. And you're going to end up like running a command by accident. And that's not what you want. Both First Dad, hello. Good evening. How are you doing today? All right, so we're going to start here with terminal. I think I'll use Alacrity will be fine for that. I have my thing up here. We have VS Code. I guess we can start with VS Code open. You ordered a new microcontroller yesterday for wireless protocols. You're gonna dust off the old ARM programming. Nice. I'm doing pretty good. We're about to jump into a recording session. So it's been a while since we've done one of these. Let's go ahead and set OBS up for this. So I need to turn off you. Okay, so you should not be able to hear the music anymore. I just muted it, so I can still hear it, but it shouldn't be coming through this mic, so it should be fine. No music, yeah. No music for these videos. I've had a lot of people tell me that in the course videos, when there's music, it distracts them, and they have a really hard time understanding what's happening, even when I have it like really low compared to my voice. Okay, so that's on. Mic is up here like this. Okay, so that should be good there. You have me up. We don't have like a chat or anything else going on. I don't have ZilbyCam on, so that should be good. So when I do the recording itself, it's going to be a recording to a file, just like most recordings are. And but essentially, we pretend that we're not on Twitch. So I'm not going to respond to like directly to comments. If you have a question about something, go ahead and ask it. I'll either answer afterwards, or I will try to figure out a way to work it into the recording. How many screens do I have? Right now, I have 3 screens. So when it looks like I'm looking at you, I'm looking at my notebook screen. So I have Twitch chat over there on the left. I have like another window, like sort of like on the right. In this case, I have the any type checklist that we've written over there on the right hand side there. Also, good morning, Muckaluck. Hello. And then over like straight in front of me is like this is the main window that you're seeing. And then if you ever see me like way up and I'm like looking up to the sky, that's I have another display up above this one that is that's where I have OBS running. So if I ever need to look at OBS and sort of like see how things are going, that's my third display. I want to add a fourth display that my computer can have that I can like throw like more status and information windows that are not part of the stream, but my desk isn't big enough. But I've like recently been given another monitor that I didn't have to pay for, so I'm like, okay, well I might as well use it. So more monitors is better, right? Let's see. Oh, you know what else I need to do? I need to turn off. What do I do? Oh, I need to turn off the alerts. So we have Twitch alerts on the upper right. Are there even Is there even audio for that? I don't even know if there's audio for that. But I can You don't know how you survived on one? I know it's one of those things where like when I'm out and about, I'm perfectly fine. But if I sit down at a desk and I have like desktop monitors, it's like, okay, I have to like have four. Like, or it feels like I always need n plus one. That's what it feels like. Okay, so do alerts have audio? More importantly, I'm not seeing audio. I mean, I see like a little alert section from OBS, so it's possible. Oh, it's a browser source, so it might have audio on its own. Oh, interesting. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let's no, I don't want Firefox like that. You go away. Okay, let's open up an alerts over here. Okay, so I have my simple alerts. Can I test one of these alerts? Okay, so I'm fairly certain that the follow doesn't do any. Okay, let's do send test alert. I'm actually gonna let's turn off the music so I can see whether or not there's any audio. Okay, test alert for follow. Okay, no audio. So if I turn that off, that'll be fine. Other things that I have: subscription. Okay, so I have subscription stuff. How about this? Yeah. Did you hear that? I saw that on desktop mix. No? Okay, perfect. So that came out of the desktop audio mixer, but I have that muted. So that didn't show up. So I can have that not play like that. And there, okay, so therefore you won't see anything and you won't hear anything. Perfect. All right, so then in that case, we're pretty much done and ready to go. I'll just start with this screen here. Put the checklist. Okay. And I guess we'll use the integrated terminal, which is what? What do I open at? Is it control tilde? Yeah, it's control tilde. Oh, we'll use this as the terminal. That's what we do. If I open up code in something like oh, it's already opened here. So that's going to open up like a new version of code. So let's start with You're still shocked by how many people still have the tilde key? Wait, why? We use the tilde key all the time. I would be so upset if I didn't have the tilde key. Okay, we're going to start with a terminal. And then we'll do Rust up update. And then we can, then let's create a new project. And then we can open that project in VS Code and then install the extensions, test Rust Analyzer, and do all that stuff. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. All right. So then let's get started. Starting in like the introductions of this, especially like the first one of a new course, is so tough. At least for me, it's like I don't know how to start. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to end them. They're just awkward. Maybe we'll have to redo it later on. Most likely, I'll forget. Never do that again, and it'll just be an awkward one. But okay, let's we're gonna get into it. So I guess there's not going to be a way for you to know that I'm in recording mode except that I'm in like recording voice. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get VS Code set up for Rust development. If you haven't done this before, it's going to be fairly simple. And if you have, you can probably just go ahead and skip this lesson. All right, so first off, I've got a blank terminal open here. I want to make sure that I have the latest version of Rust going. So we're going to do a Rust up update. Make sure that we have the latest there. I do in this case. This can take a little bit of time if you've got a fairly old version or a lot of versions of Rust. Okay, so that's done. I now want to, let's just go ahead and create a basic new project that we can sort of test things out on, make sure that things are working in VS Code the way we want them to. I have a place to put these type of projects that aren't real, that I don't really want to like track. I called it like my playgrounds folder. So I'm going to go into code playgrounds. We're going to do a cargo new, I guess like setting up VS Code. Let's cd into there, and we'll open up VS Code inside of that. And yes, I trust the authors of this project. I do have Docker installed on my system, and Docker will play a little bit of a role later. So I'm going to go ahead and install the extensions for that, which is by Microsoft, so it should be trusted. And there's some other extensions we should install as well. So let's go ahead and search for those. So first one is Rust Analyzer. This one right here. So it's official from the Rust project. I'm going to go ahead and get that installed. Next up, opening up TOML files. Now, a lot of these, if you just go to a file, it'll auto suggest it for us. So if I go to this Rust TOML file, it'll say like, hey, let's search for TOML files, and that's Python? No, that's not what we want. Let's get, let's just search for TOML. Even better TOML language support. This one actually has a little Rust crab in the logo, so let's get that one. Let's see. There's something to help out with crates. Let's search for that. So crates. This one is really nice. This will tell us what version of crates we want and if it's out of date. I'll go ahead and show that off a little bit later. Next up, we have sort of for debugging purposes, we're going to want to install some kind of debugger language to run the binaries and help us like step through code. On a Mac and a Linux system, that's going to be CodeLDB, and I believe it's a C++ debugger for Microsoft. I'm on a Mac here, so we're going to find CodeLDB. All right, and then finally, it's recommended to have some kind of system on your computer, some kind of program on your computer to send API requests to a server just to sort of debug things out. So if you're not using something like Postman or Rapid API or anything else, or maybe even just curl in the command line, there is an extension here called ThunderClient, which looks exactly like Postman, which is really nice. Oh, it's Thunder Space Client. Let's go ahead and get that installed too. And that adds a little interface down here, which looks exactly the same as what you get with Postman. All right, let's go ahead and test Rust Analyzer and make sure it's working the way we expect it to. So let's go ahead and open up our main.rs. If I add in another lines, like let a equals 5, that was me trying to do a semicolon W enter, which is what you do in Vim. Okay, so we know it's working because we're getting some inlay hints here. So this is telling us that A is the i32. If you really can't stand this, this is absolutely something that you can turn off. I like to use it a lot, and also I feel that while we're creating videos for you to watch, sort of like seeing what the types are, is really helpful, well, just as an instructor. So I'm going to go ahead and leave them on it. But I now know that Rust Analyzer is working. And it's going to tell us like if there's any problems. So if I remove a semicolon, it's going to immediately put little squiggly lines in here and tell me, hey, it expected there to be a semicolon. Okay, so that's great. We can set up for a little bit of extra sort of protection for us. We could tell Rust Analyzer to use Clippy instead of just the normal cargo check, which it runs. Let's go ahead and open up settings here. Go to extensions. Let's find, where is Rust Analyzer? There it is. Rust Analyzer. Somewhere in here we can tell it what to run. It's not extra args, I don't believe. Aha, check command. Okay, so right now by default it uses check. We want it to use Clippy. Clippy comes with Rust by default, so we don't need to like install anything else. Just having this set up for us should now make it so that it will run Clippy. I don't remember anything specific that Clippy would yell at us for. And this doesn't tell me that's like Clippy running. So we'll have to just trust that it's working right now. Let's also like double check that formatting is working on save. So if I like just indent things in a lot, hit save, that is not affecting anything. So let's go find this out. So I want to search format. So we have format and paste. I do like it to format and paste, and I want format on save. So I'm going to turn those two on. Let's come back to here. And as soon as I hit save, Now they go ahead and put back in. You can have it just like format on input, but that's a little bit too much for me. I like it to snap into place whenever I save it. Okay, code debugging is next. So we installed a debugger, but before we can actually like run any debug sessions, we have to actually like tell it what to run. So I'm just going to go over here to the run and debug, hit run and debug, and it tells me, okay, there's no launch configuration. I haven't provided that, but a cargo.toml has been detected. Would we like to just auto-generate one? Yes, absolutely. So let's let it do that for us. And this is very specific to this project. So we're gonna have to do the same thing for every project we work on. But it's fine. So we don't actually need to change anything in this. This is great. So at this point, we have this debug executable setting up VSCode. So notice that that's the name of the project here. So in the future, with all the other ones, just look for the ones you're gonna have to like recreate a new one for you. Let's go ahead and debug it, and we'll hit play, and it works. Oh, I do need to give access to the developer tools. And let's run this again. Okay, we get our hello world out here. Now, not really anything special happened. So let's go ahead and come into our code, and let's do a breakpoint here. Maybe we can do like another line. Let's do a debug of A out. And I can put maybe we'll put the breakpoint here. So we make sure that the A happens before we hit our breakpoint. Let's go ahead and hit play. Our code executes and pauses here on line 4. And we can see that we have local variable A has been set. We can see what that is. We are paused. If we have more lines of code, we can step through them if we really want to. So this is helpful in some ways. I do find that sometimes using this like big step through can be a little bit of a pain. I actually prefer to just mostly use these debug statements for my debugging. However, having this here and available to us can help in certain circumstances. All right. And that's it. We are now ready for Rust development. So one last thing, which is if Clippy starts driving you insane, because there's a lot of lints that it adds in. I'm going to keep them on for teaching purposes, but if they drive you crazy, just go back into settings, find, let's see, where is it? In extensions, Rust Analyzer, we want that command, which is near the bottom. Where was it? We had the override. That's the Rust format command. Where is the command for Rust? We were just at it. Oh, it's because I'm searching for format. That's why. I want to go find that Rust Analyzer. Let's go find the command, which is Clippy. And we're going to put it back to check, which is what it was to begin with. So that will make it so that do only the normal lints for you. And that's it. We've got VS Code set up for us, and we're ready to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. All right. I did actually set up recording for that one. I'm happy with myself. I like sometimes I've done it with forgetting to actually record, which is always fun when that happens. Clippy is for when you feel an emptiness inside after you've eliminated all the regular error warning messages Rust gives you. Yeah. All right, let's turn on music again. Let's see. Alerts back on and music on back on. Enrico, hello. How are you doing today? You redeemed. Go take a break and find Zilby. Yeah, well, he's probably upstairs. I'll go and grab him really quickly and see if I can bring him down. And then Epic, you want to know that it's stacking. Sir, you were in a call, recording, but yes, most keyboard layouts have removed the tilde key. You can only get them on 75% and above. Wait, what? Really? Huh. That just seems... Are we going to start having to buy programming keyboards now? And they're going to start selling them for expensive for us? That really sucks. Epic, you want to let me know that it's still a goal of yours to ruin a recording by making me laugh. Well, it's fine. I guess like challenge accepted. It's like part of the stream, right? So like I haven't done too many re-recordings, but I think that's mostly because I just accept any of the problems that I throw in there, as opposed to requiring that they're perfect. And I do know people that like they'll redo a take like 20 times to make sure that like every pronunciation, everything is like exactly as you expect it to be. But no, I don't. I'm not that way. I accept all the flaws, which I know that has driven some people who watch my stuff insane. And I'm sorry. What was that? That was a notification on my end. Sorry. Okay. Unrelated push notifications. I do have those enabled because I actually have messages that people are expecting to get, but I have it on the other side of my microphone, so hopefully the mic shouldn't pick it up. You'll be migrating to QMK, ZMK, and removing the never used caps and turning that into the tilde key. Ah, okay. So interesting. I turn caps lock into escape personally. That way I can just press escape really easily with a pinky finger. So that's what I do. Escape key. I use caps lock as escape. All right. I also need to open up. All right. OBS for recordings. I need to rename this using this keyboard. What am I guess this is like setting up VSCode for Rust dev. Okay. And then I'll throw that somewhere that then I can edit that. And I mean, editing is a fairly strong word. I basically just convert it into the right format and compile it, I guess. Compile, render it. You did it in your Mac, really enjoying that. Wondering if you should turn that key into escape on your 360 as well. I like that. It's super, like, to the point where when I'm not on my keyboard, I constantly turn on caps lock by accident. It just is all the time. And it's hilarious. Because people are like, why are you shouting? It's like, it's not my keyboard. It's escape now. And the settings remember it per keyboard because they're trying to be smart. Yeah, so that's fun. All right, I'm going to go find Zilby and I'll be right back. Oh, I didn't have to go very far. Hi, Zilby. You're still here. You want to come up? I did not have to go very far. He was under the desk, out of sight of the camera, if I were to turn it on. But he's hanging around. When I found him, he was under the chair and he was like, almost shocked to see me. It's like, wait, what? You're my human? So poor Zilby, he's got a little bit of we left on that vacation that we went on where I didn't stream very much. We had somebody looking after him and they fed him so many treats. Like I don't know exactly how many, but it was a lot of treats. He gained like a pound of weight over a 2-week period of time, which is really not good. So he's been on a diet. He's lost not quite half of it, where it's a super slow like loss. So he's not that upset, but he's still upset that we just don't feed him treats whenever he wants. Or when I do feed him a treat, I throw it down the hall so that way he has to actually work for it. Okay, are you done? Here you go. All right. We got Zilby. Let's see. Open up our manager. Yeah, this is like why I need like another monitor so I can have like the this manager over here. Mark that as complete. Close the window. Okay, so that's good for this. So then I'm gonna want a place for the video in here. So we're gonna have objectives by the end of this article. So I might want to do like this lesson. You'll be able to set up the extension, set up debugging, optionally use Clippy. Then video. Then my video will be in here. And then VSCode. I can load a video in. I can load a video to play, like embed in a video inside of what is it called? Markdown, right? Like that's something I can do, just like a picture. I don't know if I actually tested that at all. Otherwise it'll just be a link to like a video. It's like, hey, watch this instead of going through this. So okay, then we'll have that. I'll need to upload that for you. VSCode, we'll need to write this out. So Visual Studio Code. I guess like the biggest competitor to VS Code would be the JetLabs editors, and they're paid. So that's like that's going to be a negative for most people. It's like they're not going to want to pay a subscription to use their code editor, which that I mean that I've thought about like playing around with them every once in a while, but they just like, I don't want to pay a subscription for that. I don't want to pay and then lose access to it after a year. And even like at my work, I was like, well, we can use an editor. One is free. One will cost you money to pay for all of us. And they're like, okay. Are there any benefits that you only get from that one? Like, no. You can set up the other ones for free to be just as good. And it's like, well, then in that case, we're going with the free one. Okay, so it seems to be updated very often. I mean, I don't really know what else to do with this. Like Rust. Oh, come on. Feels like it's worse today. The I don't know if I would say that it's dropping inputs, because it really feels like it puts a character on the other side of the of my cursor. Like it doesn't move the cursor to the right whenever this happens. This is really like it drives me crazy, and it's like happening more today, which really sucks. Some of the JetBrains projects are nice, but not a must-have. And Rust Analyzer has been adding the same features that the JetBrains library has been using. I have noticed that. I've also noticed before I had stopped sort of like watching the Rust Reddit subreddit, there's more people that are recommending VSCode. It used to be the other way around, where it was like, okay, if you want a real coding experience with Rust, use JetBrains. And now it's like, use VSCode. It's like almost done a 360, 180. I guess it'd be a 180 because it's reversed. It almost feels like JetBrains has been doing a clone and then just porting it to Java at almost a 1-to-1. Yeah. Okay. Joan Cena. I get what you're going for. It's like, but it's also, is it Joan? Is that how to pronounce it? You've been here before. It doesn't say it's new. So I've pronounced it before, possibly successfully. So now I've just forgotten. Anyways, good morning. Hello. Use NeoVim or Emacs. My main driver is Helix. So I often use Helix, but I figure for a lessons, I'll probably be using VS Code just because it's more popular, and I won't. Something that I've noticed, if I use like a different editor or a different setup, it might cause a student to focus on the wrong thing, where it's like, okay, I want you to really look at like this code, and they're like, but the editor is so cool. I want to learn that. It's like, yeah, I want you to look at the code. Like, look at this code. This is really important here. It's like, no, editor. That's what I want to learn now. It's happened multiple times. It is kind of funny when it does happen. It's like procrastination, but hyper localized to a very specific like lesson. Okay. Using the Rust Analyzer extension makes programming easy, and like, I don't know, easy to understand what is happening in the code, also what Yeah, courses would go with the proper. Yeah, so like my choice is definitely Helix, which is right there with you with the CLI. Someday I'm gonna do a lesson on Helix, and maybe we can do lessons on like NeoVim. I've never done Emacs. That would be interesting to sort of like just see what Emacs with Rust is like. Makes what is happening in the code, and also helps us debug when things go awry. I'm gonna have to open this in like. I don't think any type here is gonna give me any kind of spelling hints. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not getting any spelling suggestions here. So I'm guessing it's not going to help with that. Let's see. Once NeoVim 0.1 becomes stable, it's going to be hard not to switch back to NeoVim. We'll have to check it out, sort of see how it's going. If Helix comes out with some updates and keeps up, then maybe they can sort of enter the rat race, and we will as consumers all be. Didn't I say 0.1? Did I say 1? 0.1. Basically, like not 1.0, 0.1. Yeah, NeoVim has a long way to go before 1.0, but they're also compared directly to Vim, and Vim has a lot going for it. That being said, NeoVim does not feel like a dot release. It feels like something more stable than like a 0 dot. If you have experience with CLI based editors like Vim or NeoVim, then by all means use it or use them. We won't be able to help you if there are any problems though. Let's see. Let's see. 9 Moons, Snarf. Hello. Good morning. That is a fun name. Do you think that Helix can pick up significant market share before they implement a plugin system? Probably not. Not at all. They either need to implement. Okay. So either they need to implement a significant plugin system, or they need to take like the top 100 top plugins and implement them themselves and put them behind feature flags. So I can basically in the settings turn them on or off and say, okay, I do want this, I don't want this, I do want this, I don't want this. But like not having a file tree is huge. And if they don't end up, if they put in a plugin system, somebody's going to create a file tree for it and it's just going to work and they don't have to do it themselves. But if they want to control the experience, which I totally understand that they might want to, then they have to implement those themselves. And that's always been the trade-off. If you've ever made a product, if you want to control how that product works 100%, you can't allow modifications. But then somebody's going to come along with a different version of something, and they're going to allow it. And in this case, they're entering a space in which multiple editors with plugin systems already exist. And so it's almost like, well, they're playing catch up. They can do things in a better, higher quality way from the beginning because they know where all the mistakes are made. They know where all the landmines are, but that doesn't change the fact that they're playing catch up, and they have to keep that in mind. And it's not like NeoVim standing still. NeoVim is still under active development. As we've mentioned, 0.1 is coming out. NeoVim 0.1 should have inline hints fleshed out. Right now it's still pretty rough around the edges. Ooh, when they start getting that, yeah, it's going to be interesting because there is a lot about NeoVim. Like you can get those tree editors. You can get all sorts of other stuff going on. Right now, the way the API works is it still counts inline hints as actual text. So plugins are trying to edit the inline hints. And it gets interesting because then you can't also like make them different colored. And so it's not only trying to edit like them, it's also like different colors showing up, and it gets weird. You'd always feel like Helix suffers a bit from this is the way the contributors like to edit, take it or leave it, more or less. Possibly. I've not seen any like okay. I shouldn't say that. Earlier on, I saw some this is the way it's going to be. There's no way we're going to do that. I am seeing a lot more of, okay, that's a good idea. A lot of people want it, and it's available in like every other editor. Therefore, we're working on it. I'm seeing that a lot more.
Your living organism and all its behavior. It's expressing it as a singer sings a song.
CodeLDB, hello. Then by all means, us, them. Is it a typo? Whoa. Okay. Editors like Vim or NeoVim, then by all means, use them. Yes, that was a typo. Thank you for that. I wish I have a good like reward system for this. I need to figure out what something like that is. I don't have anything right now. So I can like give you something, but I don't have anything. So maybe in the future we'll get something going on. Okay, same with VS Code. Follow that guide that gives you most of the stuff. Recommended extensions. We have all these. Oh, I guess we can go find that other extension. So oh, and you know what? I should turn these into links. So VS Code, I believe, allows me to get like the link to an extension from here. So CodeLDB. Maybe? Oh, there it is. Okay. So that link goes to here. This is what I want. Okay, so that was this here. Oh, I can't right click this. Oh, that sucks. Do I have to stop debugging? No. Okay, apparently I have to open up in that terminal window. Okay, so now there's an actual link. Great. All right, let's go find the others. So let's see, we have crates. Docker. This might be good if you have Docker. Even better TOML. Event better TOML. Is it worth even showing how a debugger works anymore? I haven't had a junior dev in years who knew what a debugger, who knew what was a debugger even, who knew what a debugger even was. Yeah, I know. That's a good point, but think of this. Imagine if you are if you're a hiring, maybe not even a hiring manager. Imagine if you're like a team and somebody comes along and says like, "Hey, I've got this new potential team member. They know a little bit of Rust. They have some private projects for that kind of stuff. And they also know like some web dev. They know some other stuff. Here, I want you to like chat with them to see if like we want to hire them. We have like 4 or 5 other people too that like you've obviously talked to, and like they're talking. It's like, oh yeah, I use the debug statements. I use print line. I also use like CodeLDB, and like every once in a while when it's necessary, I use that. I use the debuggers in the browser. Just like having all that in there steps through. If nobody else can talk to that, then that's a step up for that one developer to be hired. So just being able to even mention that it exists can be helpful. It is true though, print has been gotten so good, or at least debug. Debug shows you the line, it shows you everything. Like that's why I generally use that. Every once in a while, it's been really helpful to say, okay, well, what's the next thing, or what's in scope? Usually it's like, what's in scope? I don't want to print everything out. In which case then it's like, okay, let's just go in, breakpoint there, run through it. It's like, oh, it's not in scope. That's why it doesn't work. Okay, got it. That being said, you're mostly right. It's not really necessary. I'm still going to keep it in though. ThunderClient. Oh, we have Rust Analyzer. Rust Analyzer can be next. Guess. That's Rust Analyzer. Like I said, it's not a bad skill set to have. You'd be impressed if a junior did name drop it. Exactly. That's what I'm going for here. I want to help juniors become more mid and senior. It's so possible. It's so possible. And there's so many more juniors that aren't raising up that it becomes really hard to find jobs. So like every edge that you can get is really important. Unksa, hello. Is the course going to be aimed at Rust newbies or folks already somewhat familiar with the language? So yes, it's going to be aimed at, it's going to be available, it's going to be usable by Rust newbies. I'm going to recommend, at the very beginning, I'm going to have a self sort of check for Rust by basically saying, have you read or done the equivalent of the first probably like 6 to 10 chapters of the book? I'll have to go through and like verify at what point does it like go through all of the basics of the language. I think after that it starts going into more of the advanced stuff, and I don't think you need to go beyond that. And so that's going to be like, okay, if at least you've gone through that with a book, then we have a shared sort of like language that we can use and chat about. I'm not going to teach, this course isn't going to teach Rust from scratch. So you need to be somewhat familiar at the very least. And my aim for the expensive part of the course is going to be like the live teaching part of it, in which case if you're much more advanced, I'll be able to give you some like custom lessons to go a little bit beyond what like maybe I have inside of here, or maybe challenges, or we can sort of like chat about that. So that's how I'm gonna provide so like value across different sort of levels. And also if you're struggling, I can sort of like help out, like, oh, that's just Rust, you're not running into an Axum problem, that's a Rust problem. That's my assumption, and what I'm hoping to be able to sort of like get around that sort of problem with most courses. Because then I can say like, oh, you could skip half these lessons if you already know what's going on, but we can just sort of have some like private lessons and get you going. ThunderClient is next. And last. Okay, so that's links to all of these. So your crates, Imbertaml, ThunderClient, Rust Analyzer, CodeLDB, and Docker. Okay, that's good. No problem. All right, so setting up Clippy. So I like to have extra lints set up that go above and beyond what cargo check usually holds us to, sort of like demands and forces. In VSCode, can do this by setting the Helix is the competitor of Vim, isn't it? Yeah, I would say so, because like you use one or the other. You don't ever sort of go over. Also, Relcon, hello. How are you doing today? So I would absolutely say that yes, it is. And I use Helix as my main driver these days, instead of Vim. And then I would almost use NeoVim instead of Vim too. So Vim is, I pretty much only use it if I'm like SSH'd into a server that I don't have anything installed on. That being said, if you ever do want to sort of check out Helix, be advised that it's a very, like, it's still very much in development. It's very early on, and it doesn't have a lot of features that NeoVim does, but it does have some things that are nicer than NeoVim. For example, you don't need hundreds of lines of configuration to get things going. It just mostly works out of the box. Okay. In VS Code, we can do this by setting the check command to use Clippy. Now, where would I find that? So if I go to settings, Rust Analyzer, yeah, search for check command. Oh, can I do that? Copy that as. In the settings JSON, this is oh, well, that's not. I guess it would be like this then. Oh, right. It doesn't show. Okay, so this is something that I like a lot more about Notion than I do about any type. If I type these like triple quotes, triple ticks, it just turns into a code block. Hi, Zilby. You want to hang out? It doesn't do that here. Here I need to do enter in a code snippet, paste you in. And then you will become JSON. Okay. Have I tried org mode? Org mode for what? For any type? I'm still pretty new to any type. I've not really used it very much. I'm experimenting with using it instead of Notion, but so far I've not really tried it. Okay. Where did you go? Okay, so you went hiding again. I guess, yeah, I'll have to check that out. I have not looked at org mode. Oh, it's a native of Emacs for taking notes and other things. Oh, so it's not something part of any type. This is like it's like, is it a plugin for Emacs? I've not used Emacs before. Built into Emacs. No, so I've never used Emacs. I do know that Emacs can be like essentially an entire operating system. You can run commands and everything else inside of it. You're always impressed by people who can use Obsidian in a perfect manner, but you're not five-head enough to have my notes in a perfect graph format. So I tried this out, and when I set up AnyType, it has the graph format, which is interesting. I'm still not sure how useful a graph is for something like this. But the first thing they did was they set you up with a new account using like 100 different sort of tutorial pages, which is like okay, I suppose, but there was no settings to erase everything and just like start from absolute blank. So I had to go through to everything, right click, and move to bin. for everything in here. And they were like not connected at all. So like you start with a bunch of garbage, which is not fun at all. I would have preferred to like have it be an option to sort of like bring it in and then be able to easily delete them when you're done. Is a recurring joke implying it's complex, but it's definitely true. The problem is that organizing things is complex. It's really or it's I guess like if we look at things from the Xenophon framework point of view, it's chaos. It's way more chaos than complicated. You use Doom Emacs, which has Vim key bindings. Wait, so Doom Emacs is a thing. Is it Doom Emacs or is it Evil? I've always heard people call it Evil Emacs, or Evil mode, which is Vim key bindings. But yeah, so like this is interesting. I don't really know how helpful this is. If there's an organization mode and all that stuff, that would be pretty cool too. The nice thing about this is that like there's no, I mean there is a server, but there's no web view. I have to do this on my system, and all the data supposedly is only on here, encrypted and then sent up as a single file to the servers for distribution to anybody who logs in. Doom Emacs is an Emacs distro, but a lot of sensible Vim-like defaults. Okay. Evil mode is when you configure Emacs with Vim key bindings yourself. Got it. Interesting. So I hadn't heard of Doom Emacs. I had just I've always heard people talk about Evil, so that means they did it themselves, which makes sense. I think a lot of Emacs are probably going to be like Vim people who have super customized setups. Okay, in the settings, this is blah, blah, blah. Text. I can find this in GUI settings, like settings by settings, extensions, analyzer, check. That graph is for related things to be joined. You are creating links between them, I'm guessing. Yeah, so one of the reasons why I think that I might end up liking AnyType more than Obsidian is because they're trying to use databases similar to Notion. Obsidian, last time I looked at the very least, was just a markdown editor. That's all it really is. There's no databases. But here, for example, I have this collection here. And so I can create new objects. I can link them together. I can create properties for any of these. It's very much like a Notion database, which is exactly what I was hoping that I would find in Obsidian. So I have this here, which means if I create like a new page, it just shows up here. I have untitled, and now page is also like automatically in here, and they're sort of like, it's just like it just sort of happens the way you would expect it to happen, which makes a lot more sense. And then of course I could just create new things that sort of live on their own, which is very similar to Obsidian. The editor of Obsidian is infinitely better than this. This, like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if it's just poorly optimized, or if like they just somehow have code that's doing weird stuff, because every once in a while you see it like when I just start typing and things start going weird, it doesn't move the cursor to the end of every letter that I type every single time, all the time. It just sort of forgets every once in a while. You've heard of org Roam, which has that functionality, but you've never tried it. Is that another Emacs thing? Okay, nice. This is also something that could be interesting if they had plugins for Helix. Somebody could create a plugin for something like this, where basically like a wiki mode. I know there's a Vim wiki. I've tried it before a long time ago, and that might work. And because it's a Vim thing, that might work with NeoVim too. So we can play around with that. But okay, let's see. We set up Clippy, video checklist. That's done. I don't need that anymore. Okay, so set up extensions for Rust development. So you get that through here, and you get that through here. Set up debugging in VS Code. You get that through here and the video. Optionally use Clippy. Again, you get that through here and the video. Okay, good. So that's everything here. So what I can do is come up to you. We can say, okay, articles written. I did not want to copy you. Article written. Video created. There's no assessment for this one. So that's that. I guess. How do I want to do like video is created, but like not actually set up for it? I'm not sure. Andrew Kraveski, hello. What's the progress since yesterday? So yesterday we finished up. So we have this here, and we also recorded a video for this. So that's the progress. Also, we said hi to Zilby. And then he came in. I put in, so I found / like obtained some noise, like what are they called, like sound dampeners that people put up on walls in studios. I don't have like I can't hear the echo myself, but I've been told that like putting these up on the walls, even if it's not like 100% covering them, will do things like will do good things for the audio and make it like better quality. So I have them like sitting around. You could actually, here, if I turn on Zilbycam, you can see them. That's them. They've got coffee, like coffee bags covering them. They're secondhand. So I need to like throw something up there and put them up on the wall somewhere. And I have no idea where I'm supposed to put them. So I'm just going to haphazardly put them in random places because I don't know what I'm doing. And we'll see how it goes. I might also just sort of reorganize the room and put like a bigger desk in front of me, which would be also nice because I'm running out of space on this one. So let's see. Okay. we've got that. We have another lesson, which is this logging. So I created and wrote this last Sunday. So I figure we can create a video for this too. The videos don't need to be like a one-to-one me reading through the lesson. I don't think that's really helpful necessarily, especially if you want to like sort of watch them both. I think these ones being the videos being more live coding and the lessons just being sort of like the blog article that you can follow allows somebody who like sort of learns from the different methods to sort of pick and choose which way they want. Maybe all of the above. So here's my objectives for this. It's basically going to just be setting up an Axum app and logging things to the terminal. So we have time. We have 45 minutes. Let's do this. So to reset everything. Get out of here. Oh right, we're going to be using VSCode because. All right, so let's actually quit out of you. Is there a way for me to go home with this? No, that's history. That closed, that hid everything else. Cool. I'll just quit out of Firefox. Okay, you're happy there. Let's see. You will stay over there to the right of my objectives over here. And then we'll just do some live coding video style for this. So we'll need our terminal window. We can be in a playground. Oh, I do need Firefox so that we can go to crates and search for things in here. Okay, and then I guess you know what would be good to have is I'm not using fish. I am using ZSH with OhMyZSH installed. So it's not as, there's some things that are really nice about fish, but there's some things which like goes a little bit over the top of. But I don't remember anymore like which things that were over the top that I wasn't liking. I think I also like just stay with as many defaults as I can and then just customize the ones that come. So have I tried New Shell? I have not tried New Shell. I don't remember why I didn't try it. I think it was just like maybe it wasn't available for me at the time. And that was it. It was something simple. All right, so we'll be on our playground. Do I want this to be setting up a brand new? Probably not. If we look at our map. Okay, so let's turn you off. We're now working on you. Where's my hello world? Where am I gonna put a hello world in here? Here's the hello world with like the route handler. Interesting. Okay. So as part of like, maybe I'll have to do like route. I haven't figured. So these are not necessarily in the order that I want people to take them in. I haven't figured out exactly what that's going to be yet. It's always something I struggle with too. So I'm probably going to want, yeah, so like logging with tracing. Let's start with a project already set up. So in this case, let's do logging with tracing in Axum. A nice short project name. Okay, so Tokyo Axum. Is that all I need for basic stuff? That might be. And then because we're working on our own yet, we haven't started videos, we can use Helix for this. All right, so let's oh, I'm not even in Zellage. Okay, hold on. I'm so used to like having all this stuff. Hold on, let's. Okay. We can open you up. Let's open up something down here. Let's resize you to something like that. This looks like more like a normal editor type thing. Okay, and then what to do? CD into source. Let's touch a log.rs. Okay. Let's do a pub struct app. I think it's U8. I must have used Tmux before. Yeah, so I've used Tmux, but a lot more than Tmux. Before that, I used Screen. And so far, I've been enjoying Zellage a lot. So I like it. I like it more than Tmux. I think I like it more than Tmux just because I like the lack of configuration that I need to do. There's so much less configuration. And I don't know, like Screen is just like basically the bare bones of everything. I do have a fond place for it in my mind. In my heart. And then same idea with Helix. Yeah, exactly. I was a systems administrator for 8 years. I've had my, I've tweaked with so many things that at this point in time, I'm like, I don't really care anymore. I just want to do something. I want to do the thing. I don't want to configure the thing. I want to do the thing. But I also want to have nice things like CLI editors. I just don't want to like spend forever tweaking them. But if I use them, I want to tweak them because that's like what I have it in my brain. So like, yeah. It's a thing. Okay, so new. We want address. Set this to that. Return self. The address. Ports. I guess we'll spell address correctly. Okay, well, no, that's not helpful. We want that. Okay, so that gives you, we can head over into main. I want to let app equals app new. Okay, so we did I just quit? I keep on doing that where I don't know, like recently I've been hitting Q by accident with my W. It's not what I wanted to happen. Okay, so I have main, lib. Okay, so router is going to be next. So I want to touch. Let's. Oh, nope. Can never forget. It won't work until I tell this about it. Okay, so we got that. That gives us a router. Let's see. What is shortcut to apply LSP suggestions? So if it works, it just sort of does the thing on its own, right? However, if for some reason I like press escape or they're not showing up like this now, I can use in Helix Control X, and that makes it show up in Helix by, that's the default configuration for it. If it's not showing up, usually that tells me that something is wrong. Like, for example, as you saw here, I don't get any help if it's not part of the project. So I need to go to like a parent and say like a mod it to find out. Otherwise, it just doesn't show up. And basically, all it's doing is calling Rust Analyzer. So if Rust Analyzer doesn't know how to do something, it's not going to help you at all. Basically, if it's Rust, VSCode gives you a little bit more help, I've noticed. Just a teeny tiny bit. But that's it. It's pretty much the same as VSCode. Pretty much. So I'm going to return that. So let's go back to lib. We need to run now. And this does need to be async. Which I want error. I have noticed that every time I install something, I just need to restart the LSP. Otherwise, things just don't work the way we expect it to. So I do this a lot. What am I doing? What are you going to be using for debugging Rust? In Vim, you saw a blog about Vim Spectre. So generally speaking, I debug Rust with debug statements using like the debug macro. If that doesn't work, then I sometimes use tests. Like I'll set up a test and just sort of run that and sort of see what's going on. And then finally, the CodeLDB. What is it? What is it called? CodeLDB. There's one of the LLDBs I could run and set up debugging and then run things through, and like then I can get the breakpoints and sort of see what's going on. On back end, it mostly annoys me. I really like it a lot in front end in a browser, but in a back end, I've not really seen any implementations that like sort of make me love it. Yeah. So CodeLDB along with, so Helix comes with it by default, and I don't really need to do much to get that set up and going. I know that you can also set that up with Vim and NeoVim pretty easily, and it just works as well. Yes, this is one of the times where it's like, okay, I forgot how to do stuff. What? Probably forgot how to do stuff because I forgot to put in the function keyword. That happens a lot too. Oh, it doesn't know to bring in the right result. Okay, so I want to use error result. Okay, so there's that. Now we're happy here. So that's maybe like routes. Create router. So we have that. So that's our router. Then I want my address, which is, okay, so address. This is the sys. Oh, I keep on forgetting what it is. It's so socket adder. That's what it is. I think it's that one from self.address, self.port. Okay, so routes address. Then I think we can do the thing, right? So Axum server bind address, then serve routes into make service. We await you, and we can question mark you. Okay, there we go. We're happy with that. Results needs more stuff. Not with error result. So this is, I'm using errors result, which basically just is a wrapper around result. So it's a trait implementation, which basically allows me to turn, this is the success criteria of result. And then an error just has to implement error, the error trait, and then that gets passed on. So I can now do a question mark to pretty much any type of error as long as it's a real error, and we're fine. So then I can handle this one time in main, which we're going to do now. Okay, so that's our run. So now our server should actually start running, and so I can run you. So if I do cargo watch, C run, S run? No, not, okay. So it is C. Oops. Whoa, what was that? Don't want that. Did I forget how to use this? Oh, it's X. It's X, not C. Okay, cargo watch X run, that runs that. Thank you for that. You notice if you change Rust up default nightly, Helix just stopped making LSP suggestions. Oh no. Interesting. I try not to use nightly very often. So I don't even have nightly installed right now. I generally just like you only use stable. So I haven't run into that problem before. Where are you installing Rust Analyzer from? Is that from Rust itself? Because like you can now install Rust Analyzer through Rust Up. But you could also install it elsewhere, and then maybe that would work still, or I don't know. Maybe something else is going on with that. All right, so you're running. That's great. So do I have? Okay, so echo. $rust log, I think. That sets a debug. Okay, so I need to reset this. So export rust log equals nothing. Okay, so that will not show rust logs out. Okay, so that's that. From Rust Up, I guess, make their different versions. It's possible. I wonder if you switch over to default, it's not updating the version of Rust Analyzer for you, and so therefore that's the different versions. That, like, you would think that it should automatically do that for you. Okay, so I've got that, and then so first of all, if I do a cargo watch here, and we create a terminal to the right, and let's just do a curl, not to whatever that was. That was get user info with a users that I've deleted, I believe, because I've deleted all my test users from those videos back when we were setting up all that stuff. So that's cool. It's curl to HTTP localhost 3000. So yeah, there was a token in that, but that was not a good token anymore. Also, those expired after like 30 days. 3 like hours or something like that. So I don't think I have anything to worry about that. Okay. That should work there, and then we'll just have to recreate all of this in VS Code. So let's go ahead and open this up. So if I want to make sure I'm not running this, load up code here. Yes, I trust the authors. Here we have all this stuff. We have a basic everything. Rust Analyzer, you're setting things up, you're happy. We have our targets running, and okay. So I think we're good to go and start recording. Okay, objectives. We want to describe what we want to have logging in our Axum applications. We want to set up tracing and related crates. We want to log a message to the terminal, and we want to sort of like go over log levels and why we want to use each of those. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off desktop audio. Turn off alerts. I think we're good to go from that point of view, which means I can now start recording. So recording time. If you weren't here in a previous recording today, basically I won't be paying attention to, well, I won't be responding directly to chat. If I miss something or if you want something more explained, go ahead and ask it anyways. I'll either answer it after the recording or I'll figure out if I can like work its way in. Also, apparently, Epic is trying to make me laugh during this. So I am reading to make that fair. So with that, let's see if we can record a lesson on logging in Axum. Welcome to our video lesson on logging in Axum. So I have here a basic application that we've set up. It's not anything special. We've got a main project. It's just running an Axum application. It's got no routes whatsoever. We just have a brand new router and that's it. So why would we want to have routing to begin with? Well, for example, if we run our application here, so let's do a cargo watch -x run. Well, I don't get any feedback. Is the server actually running? I mean, I think it is because it took over our shell and it didn't exit, but it would be kind of nice to like just have some kind of confirmation. And then another thing here, let's go ahead and split this to the right. If I use something like a curl to HTTP localhost port 3000, which I happen to know this is running on, well, I get nothing back, but that's understandable. It's a 404 error because we have no routes, but I don't have any like sort of evidence of that hitting. It's really hard to sort of like debug what's going on. So having logs in our application would be extremely helpful for this. Now we could set up just debug logs on their own and like throw that into every single route handler, but I think there's a better way. So there is a crate called tracing that will give us pretty much everything we want for us. And the idea is that we can run we can run tracing and emit events with tracing itself, and then also have tracing subscriber subscribe to those events, and that's what prints them out. We could also configure tracing subscriber to just go wherever we want to. So if, in production we want to send it to someplace else, we could totally do that. Or at the very least, write it to a file. That's going to be beyond the scope of today, though. All right, let's go ahead and start adding things in of what we need. So to begin with, let's go find tracing. So on crates.io, go to tracing, and this is what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and copy our cargo add command. Come back into here, and we're going to add that in. Now, feature-wise, I don't need any sort of like special features, I believe, for this, so I'm just going to leave that sort of plain. And this is going to allow me to start emitting out events, but we're not going to see them in the terminal yet, or at least we shouldn't expect to see them yet, but we can add them in. So in our library, right before our bind command, let's go ahead and do emit out a message. So we're going to do tracing. Let's do, I don't want an error. I want a, let's see. I want a debug. I want a info. So info, server, running on port. And just like debug or print line or format, we can basically grab variable information and pull it in. Because my port's inside of a struct here, we're going to have to make it available in a comma after this. So self.port. This is not Vim. All right. I almost did it literally again. Okay, so I am now emitting out, but you noticed we're not seeing this here. And we're not going to see this here at all until we subscribe to these events. And that's a different crate. Let's go find that. So we need to go find tracing subscriber. Okay, so this is what we need next. This is going to, well, listen for those events and then do something with it. So sometimes like library applications might be tracing, emitting those events out for us, and then we can subscribe to them and sort of listen to them on our own. If you ever write your own library, just use tracing itself and then don't subscribe to it inside of that library. Whoever calls the library does that. Now we're creating Axum here, which means that we are we're running, well, we're just doing both at the same time. Let's go ahead and add tracing a subscriber. And is there anything that I care about in here? I don't think so right now, but we'll see if as time goes on. Okay, so before we run our tracing, I need to sort of get this going. So at the very top of our run, I'm going to say tracing subscriber. I want the format. I want the module for this. So not the function format. I want the module format and then init inside of that. And this initializes tracing subscriber and makes it ready for us. Now, we should start seeing this, but we're not. We're not seeing this at all. And that's because in order for us to start seeing these, we need to tell tracing subscriber that we want to, we want to see these. We want them compiled into the code. And it uses an environment variable for us to see this. So we're going to have to quit out of here. I want to set an environment variable, which in this case is going to be Rust_log. So I'm going to do export Rust log equals, and then we can do a log level. So like what level do we want to be printed out? So for example, if I do something like info, it'll be info and like above whatever, whatever that means to the library, which I think like that means errors and info sort of show up. Now I want everything. So the lowest level would be debug, which is going to handle everything that, well, everything we possibly could emit out. So we're going to just set this to rustlog equals debug. I'm using the export here. I'm on a sort of like a Linux-like system. So this is Mac OS, but it's the same exact command in Linux and Unix systems. And then we're going to restart our server again. And now we notice here, we have this info, name of the project, and then server running on port 3000. If I close this to the left, it's a little bit easier to see. And if we hit this with our curl, we see some debug messages. And so this is actually tracing events emitting out from the router on its own. Like we didn't have to set anything up from, they were already happening. We just needed to set a subscriber up to listen to that. So that's really nice. But what if I want like more information? What if I want like to actually see the result of this, like to see that it was trying to hit slash and that it was getting a 404 error? Well, we can do that by a little bit of middleware. And luckily we don't have to write this middleware ourselves. It exists already. However, we do have to pull that in from crates. Let's head back to our browser. So the middleware exists in Tower. So we want to look for Tower HTTP. And if we look at the description for this, it's middleware that sort of like already exists for us. So somebody has already written for us. It's going to be easy for us to set up. Let's go ahead and add this into our project. Now, what we're specifically looking for in here is this trace feature. So we do need to make sure that we add this add tower HTTP in with the feature. So using -F and trace. So that way we actually have, the code that we want, the middleware that we want available to us. Then we're going to open up our router and we're going to add in a new middleware here. So it's going to be a .layer. And inside of the layer, we're going to go with tower HTTP. We want trace. Now, trace layer specifically, because both of them are going to have the thing that we want, but trace is not going to be the thing in a way that we can actually use it. And it's very confusing if you accidentally go into trace. It's just things are not going to work out the way you want it to. So make sure that trace layer. Oh, I just realized you probably couldn't see that that -F feature. Let me go ahead and pull this over here. Just running this again won't cause any problems. So let me just go ahead and up arrow. This was the command that I used to add in the feature for trace. So we did cargo add tower HTTP -F trace, and then we see now that trace is added in as a feature. All right, so added in, we're in trace layer, and then inside of here, I want to do a new for HTTP. This is a function. We're going to call it, and that's it. We have middleware set up for this layer. Our server restarted. I am using Cargo Watch for that. Now, if I do my curl command again, now we get a little bit more information. Let's put this over to the right. We see here a request that's a method get to slash. It started processing the request. And then we see, okay, another debug, method get to slash. It finished processing the request, and we get a status 404 because we don't have a route handler for that route. And so now, okay, we now have log messages for, whatever routes and whatever the status codes are for it, which is really, really helpful, because sometimes if we're trying to hit something and it's just not working the way we expect it to, seeing that it's not hitting the right route, or maybe our route handler isn't configured properly or not catching it, knowing where that error is really helpful. All right. The last thing I want to discuss here are the different sort of log levels. So we've seen info, and then we see these debugs happening behind the scenes for us. Let's head over into the library again. So let's show off what we can do. So we have tracing, we have debug. Debug is exactly like these ones here. So I am a debug message. We also have the info, so I'll skip that one. And then we have error. So this is an error. And I believe that's it for the different sort of log levels that we have for us. If we want to take a look at it, we can just sort of look through really quickly. Here's our debug. Here's our error. An event is sort of just manually creating an event, which these already are. Here's our info. And warning. That's the other one. Okay, so warning. I am a warning. All right, so if I save all those, we should now get these all printed out for us. Now, the really nice thing about them is they're all color coded. So the error is, red. So that just sort of pops out at us, lets us know something is really going wrong. Anytime that you're handling an error, or you haven't handled an error, and maybe it's something that you don't want to have happen, this should be tracing error for us. Debug messages, be careful with these. As we can see, you can fill up your log with debugs, and we already have a lot of debugs coming in from other sort of libraries. So just sort of keep one thing that you're running debug at a time, and then delete all the others. And I think that's really helpful. Right, there was a trace in here. Tracing trace. And I believe, let's see. I am a trace. I believe that's going to be the same as some of the others, but yeah, that doesn't even show up. And it needs a little bit more to sort of get going. So you're never going to use trace on its own. Trace is sort of useful for setting up other things and like building your own, which is out of scope for this course. All right. So that's debug, that's error. Warnings. So a warning is perfect for, okay, this thing is working right now. It's like, it's technically working, but we don't recommend it. It's not a good idea. Maybe it's some like piece of code that you still need to update. Maybe it's like an API that you want to turn off in the future and you want to let people know, hey, this is not going to work, like, maybe in 1 or 2 releases. It's yellow here, sort of like, as you can see, it's halfway between maybe like an error and warning, an error and info. And then finally, info. It's green. This is a good thing. This is information for you. And that's where I have like that note, server running on port 3000. It's easy to think that you might want to put this under debug, but I would highly recommend put these under info, because that's like, we want to delete all the debugs that you're not using right now to clean up and keep yourself available for you to use them in the future. And that's it. That's all the log messages. That's setting things up. That's getting things working. Now I did set up that environment variable just in my terminal, which means if I go and I launch this in another terminal over here, I'm not going to see those log messages. What I would need to do is go into, I'm running ZSH, so my .zshrc file, and add in an export Rust log equals debug into there to just always see them. That's going to be up to you as to whether or not that's the behavior you want. I do have that written into the article, so you can go sort of like look into there to see how to do that. Otherwise, that's it. We've got logs working. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. Yeah, traces is interesting. I remember looking into it. Traces for building your own versions of these, because you can build like your own logs, custom logs. Or you could also like start traces, can't you? You can start a trace and end a trace. I just never use them. I've never really felt the need. I just use it as like a glorified console log, which is, I know, like only a piece of what you can get with tracing. But like, that's the most useful thing to me. There's also a trick to set this environment from Rust itself, but I don't think it's a good idea. Oh, yeah. You can set the log levels in cargo.toml, and you can also set it in the code. Like in Rust tracing subscriber, I believe, I can set what the log level is. But yeah, I don't want people to sort of get into the habit of doing that, because next thing you know, you're going to push to production debug logs, which you don't want at all. You want this to be an environment variable. So I'm just not going to teach the option. Okay, so that's that. Let's go ahead and update the name of that. So this is logging Axum apps with tracing. Okay, that was longer than the setting up VSCode. I guess that's not surprising. We're actually doing real stuff now. Okay, then we'll put in like the video here or something like that. I keep on doing :W all the time. Does that happen to any of you? Like I do that in everywhere. Like I'm clearly doing that in VS Code a lot. I'm also doing it in like Slack. I noticed. I did it in the other day. I did in Discord. It's kind of hilarious. so much in Slack. Also, Odifex, hello. It's like, it's a thing. It's a thing. I'm surprised we don't see it in like coding streams like that all the time. Like I would imagine that we should see that more often. Instead, I think I've seen more passwords in Twitch chat. You think you would do so soon? It becomes a habit where I'm like, okay, I do this thing. I want to save it. And because I have manual saving on, although you can set up auto saving, I just think that that's dangerous because I've seen it. I don't want all my automated things that run on save to just be running constantly. So I don't like that. That's why I like have manual saves. I would probably get way too annoyed if I had it just running constantly. All right, well, we did 2 of these. Now I have run out of articles that are written. So I have to make a decision. Am I going to stream while doing the articles and all that stuff? Well, like writing the articles, or do I want to write articles and then when I have any written, then we'll create the videos for them on stream? I'm thinking of the latter. So what I might do is I might take a break from streaming and then spend a few days writing articles, and then I'll create videos from them. So let's try this. I'll send a message into Discord the night before if I have some articles written where I'm going to do a stream. I don't have any right now. I don't know if I'm going to have any time today. So really what it's going to be is like the time that I would be streaming, I'll like come down here, just not stream as I work on them. Or I could work on them and we could just do a focus stream where it's like, I'm just writing them. I'm not sure. What would you prefer? Would you be okay with like a stream where I'm not really chatting with you and I'm just writing articles? Is that interesting at all? Or would you prefer me to like just wait until I have like videos? Undo save is also annoying for undo tree. I think autosave is annoying for everything in which something happens when you save, which these days is all the time. Well, you know what I could do? I could do a poll. How do I do a poll? It's not all the time when you have just set up VSCode. That's true. It's not all the time when you haven't set up anything. But the second you have things going, it gets interesting. All right. So see, what is this? This is going to be to stream while should I stream? Should Brooks stream while writing course articles? Response. Yes, I want to see them being written. Oh. Yes or no, too boring. I'll do a 2-minute poll. Oh, that's cool. So I can do. I could eventually set up. I could eventually set up something to like listen and watch that and like put that in OBS so you can see the results or lack of them. because these ones are, well, okay, we have one vote. Oh, but I can't do that because I did the poll on this computer, not the Windows one that OBS is on. So never mind. Oh, browser source. Oh, interesting. So there's always a browser source for that. Okay, so I can do that. We can do a browser source, Twitch poll. Okay, so the URL is going to be what is that? I can't read that in my preview up there. We value your privacy. That's not what I want. Okay, can I just make that go away with that? And I don't know, put it like up here. You just on a call and you could hear me talking about tracing in the background, and it took all your strength not to rage in a meeting and have everyone look at you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What do you dislike about tracing? Or is it just me and my tracing? I understand if it's just me and my tracing. Did the poll end? How do I tell? I can go over here. Yeah, okay. So 1 volt. Should I stream while writing code? Okay, well, one person likes it, so we'll try it. We'll give it a shot. So I'll stream tomorrow like normal. Tomorrow is Wednesday. It's the day I go into the office. So it's a short day anyway, so I'll be only streaming for like 45 minutes, an hour or so. So then it'll mostly just be music and writing stuff in here. And that's perfect. 8:45. All right, let's see. Oh, Rust backtrace equals 1. Yeah, that's another thing that we can do. I don't think that Rust backtrace will make the tracing logs show up. And Rust backtrace is actually something that shows up if in like any error. It's like, hey, do you want to see more information? Set Rust backtrace to be, 1 to look at it. So I don't think that I need a lesson just to show that out. Well, I'll probably have to like run the course and we'll sort of like see how it feels. All right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We got 2 videos done. We finished 1 article. This article had already been written. We have a whole bunch of articles to write more. I usually don't have time to write articles in the evenings, at least right now. But on Sundays I usually do. So let's see. Tomorrow morning, I'll do stream normal time, 6 to around 7 though. And then we'll probably just writing articles the entire time. Thursday and Friday hopefully should be longer streams, and we can write more articles then as well. We'll see if we can finish a few this week. And then Sundays I usually go off to a cafe and just sort of like I get all day to write. So we'll see how I am next week. So with that, have a great rest of your days, and I will see you all next time. Bye.